normally kick off with the champions. We could call this the matchup, the derby of the riches, pretty much. Because I mean, these are the two richest clubs in the league. Going head to head, are we about to see a turn of heads here with Newcastle pulling off an upset and becoming the team of the riches?
I just want to say thanks to Newcastle for pretty much rolling over and giving us the title. Thank you very much. I know they've waited what 67 years now for a title, but for a trophy, sorry, not a title. But enough of that. Again, it's just a Carabao Cup.
This man sounds very hype on the Carabao Cup for real.
Hey, that's what 6 years without one would do to you. But it's fine. I mean, Newcastle, you have to say it, they've definitely cooled off. They're they lost two in a row, not just in the Premier League, but the times they were without Bruno Guimaraes, they haven't won a single game. I know he's coming back, and he was decent against us in the final too, but I think the fall off is just huge. I think the biggest struggle is for them is just goal scoring.
Yeah, I mean the injuries have definitely hurt them throughout the season. But looking on a City side now, what do you think about them? How do you think they're gonna approach this game?
Well, for City, it has to be. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring affair, to be honest. We saw a 3-3. Newcastle played out of their minds that game. I remember Trippier's free kick. It's not new. I mean, Trippier has that in his locker, but Trippier's fallen off. Callum Wilson had that one good game against West Ham where they made a flying start, right? Right after they qualified for the League Cup final. I mean, Callum Wilson scored a great goal, but then I mean, he just hasn't been the same since the World Cup. And I feel like Newcastle are one of the teams that perhaps the World Cup wasn't too good for them. And maybe neither for City too, because City haven't. I know they lost to Brentford the last game before the World Cup, but just City haven't been the same either. But I think I'm confident in City for this game, not because of City, but more so because of Newcastle's flailing form.
But you don't feel like this is kind of the setup that suits Newcastle? Low block, able to hit them against the break. That's like pretty much City's kryptonite, if you will.
I mean, yeah, I just don't really see Newcastle keeping a clean sheet nor scoring at least twice. It's just, yeah, I mean, I just don't see it with their form right now. They're gonna need to pick up because that loss, no matter how you want to put it, it's tough for. I mean, you saw the support right on Sunday. They were they were very excited, let's say, to even make it to that stage. And I know they'll say, "Oh, look at it a year ago, where uh, I mean, Bournemouth was their contender to not get relegated, right? Now they're looking at a possible Champions League qualification, but I just I don't think they're going to be able to cut this off soon. Looking at how they reacted after that loss, it's going to be very tough for Newcastle this game.
I want to get your opinion on Isaac now. We've kind of gotten a kind of a run of games from him after the injury. How do you think he settled in so far?
You already know my answer. I just He was never known as a prolific goal scorer at Real Sociedad. And of course, he's had injuries and he's very young too. He's what, 22, 23, right? But I don't necessarily think he's cut for it as a striker. I like he needs to be for me, he's not clinical enough first. And not just that, but I mean, I said it before, right? He needs to be going at the goal and he doesn't do that. I don't know if that was something that was instructed to him by Eddie Howe. Um, But I mean, when your team is struggling for goals like that, you need the shot. What he costs, what, 60 million pounds, right? You need that guy to pull you through when Callum Wilson's struggling like this as well. And I mean, you saw it. Callum Wilson was struggling, and then he's like still couldn't get a start in the League Cup final. I think that really tells you everything.
Right. And he's really supposed to be the main man. As you said, what, 60, 70 million, I think, something like that. Just crazy. So what are you saying? City win then?
I think so. I don't. I think this slide down for Newcastle is gonna last a bit longer than their fans would hope for.
All right. And then in the following match, Arsenal decide who are going to have to respond if your prediction comes true in that first match. You think they will respond?
Oh yeah, I mean, have you looked at Bournemouth form away from home? It's
Simple as that. Emirates Stadium, Fortress. What are you saying? Another repeat of midweek?
I'm thinking at least a comfortable 3-0. I just don't see anything. I mean, this is probably the easiest, what, $2 you'll make. You bet $10, you're gonna make $2 back. I don't know what the actual odds are, but I can't imagine it being that low for Arsenal to win this game. I think it's uh, again, I mean, we used to say this about City, right? I mean, they're playing Bournemouth at home. All right, well, they're gonna win, move on. That's where we're at right now with Arsenal. They're gonna beat, not only gonna beat, but they're gonna thrash Bournemouth.
This sounds like a game where if you play like Fantasy Premier League, you take advantage of that.
Well, you should have already because Arsenal played Everton already in the midweek. So I think I don't know what game week that got classified as, but you're essentially having two games in 1 week. So
Yeah. It was this last game week it counted as, so it was Leicester and the Everton match.
mhm.
So that was a lot of points. So if you are now to pick for this upcoming game week against Bournemouth, who are you picking?
I mean, you could really go with either any of the front four. I think just not a hard choice. Martinelli scoring twice in a row. Saka scored with his weak foot. That was a great.
Again, proving you wrong on that right foot, bro.
I mean, he can still improve, but what I've seen, I just wasn't threatened by his weak foot. But I guess, I mean, we'll see if it continues. But um,
He's grown a weak foot star in FIFA in your books. Is that fair to say?
from 1 to 2, okay, yes, I'll give him that.
Hear this guy.
And not only him, but Odegaard scored too. Um, Trossard, I don't know if he's going to start again. Eddie's has had a knock, right? So, I mean, any of those three, really. I think their price is already baked in, though. The anticipation of a thrashing against Bournemouth, I think it will be baked in the prices already.
Yeah, I mean it's looking dangerous from an Arsenal perspective. But one player I want to really look at is Zinchenko. This guy has been wow recently, honestly. Really just hitting his form, playing some incredible passes from midfield from deep. It's brilliant, really. I wonder if he could be that eight role, that kind of Xhaka backup, if you will. But that system is too Arteta is too much with that system already, and it just works so well. But yo, it's looking nice. A question that I've been hearing a lot recently is Jorginho or Party?
In terms of what?
Just who would you play?
I mean, is he even gonna play? I heard he has a bit of a knock. Partey might just have to play this game by default. I'm still
But
taking Partey for his role in the team. I don't think Jorginho is that good defensively. If we're talking about a different role, I mean, maybe Jorginho gets a shout, but not for me. If for that role,
Damn. Okay, fair enough. Speaking of Jorginho, we're looking at his former club against Leeds. For other American viewers, we know that is the official American side. I guess at this point, what do you make of this? Or do Chelsea have a chance to bounce back?
yeah, I mean, two sides in atrocious form, or actually no, because Leeds beat Southampton, was it? It's again another must win for Chelsea, and they failed last week at Tottenham. And I feel like it's very hard for me to say they're gonna pass this test too. I just Leeds have a new manager. I mean, they're very intense. Let's put it that way. I don't know about their quality, but they're very intense, and that's what they're good at, right? And what do we say about Chelsea against Tottenham? They lacked intensity. They lacked perhaps even belief too. So I just don't see how Chelsea can. I mean, I don't. I'm not. I wouldn't be confident at all. No matter who they're going up against. Maybe against Southampton, but even Southampton they lost to. I just. I don't see Chelsea getting a win here, really.
Jano, you hear that? You hear that, America? Leeds going in for the win. But
I think Leeds are in a great place. Okay, their league position might say otherwise, but they've brought in a manager who's been there, done it before with Watford and Javi Garcia. He, I thought he was an okay manager. I mean, we know what Watford like to do. They go through managers like Chelsea used to do, or maybe even worse, right? And they have a good squad. You wouldn't look at that side and say that side needs to go down. I mean, you would say that about the Southampton side, right? They're very young and they're very inexperienced, qualities unproven. But Leeds have spent a lot of money on these players. So, and they're all, I think they're mostly proven. You know, McKennie, he played in the Champions League, albeit he didn't light it up, but Rutter spent what, 40 million pounds on him, promising striker. Their defense still shambles, I guess, but Weber, I think that's how you say his name. He didn't play against Fulham in the midweek, but I think they'll be hoping that he comes back fit to fill the space of the captain Liam Cooper because he looks decent too to me. Weber looks like the best center half on that side. So yeah, Leeds, I fancy them to stay up. I'll say that right now.
yo, big up Leeds still. We'll see if the American players can catch the energy still. But yo, what you thinking here about Wolves versus Tottenham? No, Tottenham, you think they're going to feel a little hype after their win? But Wolves, they as well got a pretty big win.
Well, both teams need a response because Tottenham, shockingly or not shockingly, however you want to phrase it, went out against Sheffield in the FA Cup. Sheffield United, sorry. At the same time, Wolves put in a dreadful performance at Anfield. They both need a response. And I guess you could look at it as a battle between teams that don't offer much, right? Or I don't know, would that be right? Because Tottenham have scored quite a few goals, but I think that's mainly down to their firepower and just simply the quality of players they have. And Wolves, their lack of offering is mainly down to the lack of that, right? Where Tottenham have it in Harry Kane, okay, mainly Harry Kane this season, but they don't have any of that in Wolves. So, but again, Wolves don't really give much away either, right? They're not a side that's just going to roll over. They kind of did at Liverpool, but uh, I think they're going to bounce back at home because they've been good. They've been good at the turn of the year, but these last three games have been quite shaky. They lost shockingly at home to Bournemouth. They drew at Fulham, and then now they lost at Anfield. They need a response, and so did Tottenham. So it's going to be a feisty game, but I think it's going to be a draw.
A draw would be a great result still. I wouldn't mind that at all. So, do you think now Tottenham are going to clinch the top four?
I mean, you know what I've said. I think they will. I know you picked Newcastle just because you hate Tottenham, but I think it's gonna come down to Tottenham because Tottenham's been there. They've done it before. I think. I mean, we'll touch on Liverpool later, but Liverpool maybe. I mean, they're in with a shout because they're going to be out of the Champions League soon. They've won 3 in a row in the league, I believe, which I hope that doesn't continue this weekend. But yeah, Liverpool, if you look at the odds, they have, I think they're the same odds as Newcastle to make it into the top four, which is interesting because, I mean, we talk a lot about Liverpool's downfall, but then they're still favored over Tottenham to make it into the top four. And I think that's what people kind of view Tottenham as, right? They don't have enough. I mean, they have a lot of firepower. They just don't have enough as Liverpool do. I mean, Liverpool on paper they do. Salah, Jota. I wouldn't say Nunes. I know what you're gonna say if I put his name in that, but it's. I was shocked when I saw that because I think Tottenham are the favorites to get that last spot, but I feel like now it's coming down to the three teams: Liverpool, Tottenham, and Newcastle.
Well, I saw an interesting quote from Jurgen Klopp saying, if any team can go on a winning run, it's Liverpool. Do you think that's kind of him just trying to do some mind games and stuff like that, or you think there's some genuine truth in that?
I think, yeah, I mean there is because they did it 2 years ago. Like, of course, it was aided by some crazy circumstance, like Allison scoring a header. Like, what? What keeper scores a header from a corner? But
In the 90th minute.
yeah, in the dying minutes of the game. But I just, I mean, I watched the Wolves game a little bit, and I don't think they're clicking yet. Still, I mean, Jota hasn't scored since April of last year. Nunes came back and he did all right. Salah scored too, but I still doesn't feel as fluid as it did, right, for Liverpool last year. And I mean, they've had a mini resurgence, 3 wins in a row. But do I see them going on a crazy winning streak like 15, 16? No.
Well, first up, if they are to get that winning streak, is Man United. You think Rashford is just gonna end that streak immediately, right off the bat, or what?
I'll say this. It makes me confident that Thiago won't be playing. I don't rate Bajcetic. I saw people.
We know that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw people praising his turn against. I think it was Wolves. Allison put him under real pressure, and he did almost like a 180 turn with the inside of his foot, just scooping the ball out. But he did the same thing against Real Madrid, and he almost put himself in danger. To me, I mean, against Wolves and then against Real Madrid, it came off both times. But if you look at the play itself, I don't know if that was the right decision to make, the right thing to do. Such a high risk. I wouldn't even say high reward. I mean, I guess it's high reward uh, if you're taking the pressure off of two players who are marking you. But in that situation, I want you guys to go back and watch it if you guys can, because and let me know your thoughts on it because I personally did not think that that was any sort of good play. I don't know if you got to see that, Noah, but
Well, I was gonna ask you, do you not think that may be a matter of clearly there's technical skill and ability, but maybe just some rawness to his decision making side of the game?
Well, okay, sure. Yes, he looks to have some kind of technical ability, and he's shown that with not just those turns, but I mean I think he's shown that he can be tidy on the ball. But like I said, he's raw. He's getting schooled by Modric again. No shame, but I, he's the kind of player that I mean that's the kind of player that they're relying on in the midfield right now, especially without Thiago, right? And I know I've watched Liverpool games quite a few times, and without Thiago, the ball just doesn't circulate.
Right, yeah. That to me is like it's like a 50-50 kind of thing, right? Like you can see, as you said, the technical ability is there. So if he does it and it pulls off, it's beautiful and it looks great. But on the other hand, he gets picked, he looks like an idiot. So you have to consider both. It's 50-50. So it's not a guarantee. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's just a wild card. And somebody like an informed Rashford is gonna be way more sure about what he's doing. Like a Bruno coming in, gonna be a lot more sure. Weghorst, as you say, you like him. He's playing well. Casemiro, like it's just. I think it's gonna be a bit. It's gonna be a bit much for Liverpool,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I mean exactly what you said. I mean, look at Casemiro, right? I wouldn't say he scored the likes of Pedri or Gavi, but you really think he can do that against Casemiro and he's gonna just cruise through the whole game? That's just not happening, right? And I saw their game against Palace. Keita played, but I don't think he's gonna play because he's hurt. It's probably gonna be again Fabinho by Cetic probably, and Henderson, Milner, or if they want to be a bit attacking minded, Harvey Elliott, maybe. That really doesn't scare me at all. And I'm not saying our midfield is the world's best or anything like that, but I would fancy anybody's midfield against Liverpool midfield right now.
But do you not feel like the emotions in this game maybe could play a different type of role?
What do you mean by emotions?
Just the history of the battle, Liverpool, Man United.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that scares me. We haven't won there since 2016. Louis van Gaal, he was a
There you
lot of
go.
things. Yeah, Louis van Gaal, he was a lot of things, but he was not a loser to Liverpool. He never lost against Liverpool, or actually, every time he played them, he beat them. And ever since then, we haven't really. I don't think we've scored even more than once in a game, if I remember correctly. And that's going to be a big factor because, of course, I know the crowd is going to be up. It's going to be made. Lots going to be made about it, right? Their noise, their support, which is great, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think this team has shown enough to to show that they're not going to be easily brushed aside or intimidated by the support because they've they've been to Barcelona, they've came back from 1-0 down, could have easily won. It's just I think it's that's going to play a big part. Being at Anfield, I'm scared a little bit, but I'm confident that we're gonna avoid defeat at least. Combined with the form we're in and form Liverpool are in at the moment, would have been nice if Van Dijk didn't play. Because I mean he's still a class defender, right? No matter what you say about him, what you think about him right now, but he's still class. But yeah, but I'll say I'm the most confident I'm going into this game at Liverpool in quite a few years.
Perfect time to try and break that mental record against them for real. But yeah,